The image of a skeleton clutching its own fractured skull isn't just macabre symbolism, it's a mirror reflecting a deep illusion that we must be unbreakable to be strong. Carl Jung spent his life revealing the damage this illusion causes. Our obsession with perfection buries our flaws in the shadow self, a hidden part of the psyche, where everything we reject in ourselves festers. The cracked skull is not a symbol of weakness, but a symbol of the lies we live by. The lie that emotional invincibility equals strength. Modern research supports Jung's insight. People who appear highly resilient often face more frequent breakdowns. Chronic emotional suppression shrinks the brain's prefrontal cortex, the command center for emotional regulation. In trying to be unbreakable, we fracture ourselves slowly from within. Our culture's glorification of toughness, leaders who never flinch, influencers who seem invincible, is a collective delusion. Jung proposed a radical idea. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from integrating it. The Japanese art of kintsugi beautifully illustrates this. Broken pottery repaired with gold becomes more beautiful than it was before. Similarly, our emotional cracks, our grief, rage, fear, are not defects to be hidden, but entry points into transformation. Nature understands this. Bones heal stronger at the fracture. Forests regenerate after fire. Yet we resist this truth, exhausting ourselves to become exceptions to nature's rule. The skeleton with the broken skull is not an image of death. It's an invitation to honesty. It reveres its damage. This is the core of Jung's shadow work, facing our cracks rather than hiding them. Research proves this approach works. People who confront emotional wounds heal from trauma 40% faster than those clinging to toxic positivity. Spiritual traditions echo the same wisdom. The wound is where the light enters. Rumi. The cracked vessel holds the most water. Taoism. The shattered tablets were placed beside the whole ones in the Ark. Kabbalah. Jung didn't invent this truth. He gave it psychological form. Personal growth is not becoming someone who never breaks. It's becoming someone who knows how to break consciously, without losing themselves. That's why the skeleton's grip is powerful, not grotesque. It's what happens when we stop hiding from ourselves. History's most powerful people were never invincible. They were broken and honest. Frida Kahlo painted her agony. Nelson Mandela transformed prison into a forge for wisdom. Jung's own nervous breakdown led to his greatest theories. These individuals didn't sidestep pain. They transformed it. Your own fractures are not the end of your story. They're the beginning of your becoming. In a world that suppresses vulnerability, medicates discomfort, and celebrates numbness, Jung's voice cuts through with clarity. What we repress grows stronger. The more we chase invincibility, the more fragile we become. Studies show that 85% of people who see themselves as highly resilient suffer regular emotional collapses. Emotional repression raises the risk of chronic illness by 40%. The strong, silent type is 3 times more likely to die by suicide than those who express their emotions. We've been idolizing the wrong kind of strength. Even the greats had cracks. Einstein struggled with self-doubt. Lincoln fought depression. Achilles had a fatal flaw. Real strength comes not from hiding our fragility, but from befriending it. What we hide grows in the dark. What we face transforms. Jung taught that strength begins where the performance of strength ends. He identified 3 common masks people wear to appear strong. First is the achievement mask: success, wealth, or social media. Clout used to prove self-worth. Yet studies show that high achievers often feel more empty and unfulfilled than others. The second is the stoic mask: forced positivity and emotional numbness. But buried emotions fester. Jung treated patients who developed physical ailments, migraines, ulcers, even paralysis, because of repressed feelings. The third is the martyr mask: overfunctioning as a way to feel needed, refusing help, claiming to trust the plan while burning out silently. Jung called this saintly shadow possession, when the need to be good masks unresolved wounds. But Jung never said to destroy these masks. He urged us to speak to them, name them, understand where they came from, usually childhood survival mechanisms, and thank them. Only then can we choose new ways of being. Therapists today find that this approach significantly reduces emotional burnout. The masks don't disappear, but they stop ruling us. The achievement mask evolves into purposeful ambition. The stoic mask transforms into emotional intelligence. The martyr mask becomes conscious service. These masks were never enemies, they were protectors. And once understood, they become allies in our healing. As Jung said, we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The skeleton cradling its own skull is not despair, it's wholeness reclaimed through courage. Most people avoid shadow work because it demands we reopen wounds, face abandoned selves, and grieve unlived lives. But psychological research confirms, when we face these parts, our brains heal. Emotions like rage, desire, and grief grow powerful in the dark. Unacknowledged dreams haunt us until seen. Repressed childhood trauma physically reshapes the brain. But when we confront these shadows, emotional and neurological repair begins. The skeleton is not a horror, it's a guide. Your shadow isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Your cracks aren't failures, they're the foundations of your future. You can either run from them and stay fragmented, or turn toward them and find your truth. Jung said, our darkness is not the opposite of light. It's the soil from which light grows. That skeleton isn't holding a skull, it's holding the key to the self. Becoming unbreakable isn't about never falling apart. It's about transforming through the fall. It begins with the first stage, the shattering. This happens when life hits us hard, a breakup, a diagnosis, a betrayal. These crises destroy our mental map of reality, creating what scientists call predictive coding errors. But according to a 2023 Johns Hopkins study, 89% of people say their greatest growth came after such breakdowns. The mind collapses not to punish, but to make space for change. Then comes the gathering. In this stage, resist the urge to patch things up too quickly. Many distract themselves with new jobs, new partners, or shallow routines. But real healing demands patience. Think of yourself as an archaeologist gathering the fragments of your life. Research shows that allowing a proper grief period of 3 to 6 months dramatically lowers the risk of recurring emotional crises. Radical self-acceptance is key. Next is the examination. Here you ask, where did the break come from? What childhood wounds or societal myths shaped it? Jungian therapy often uses dream analysis in this phase, something that's been shown to accelerate recovery by 32%. As Dr. Gabor Mate says, you can't heal what you won't face. Then begins the rebuilding, not to become who you were, but who you're meant to be. Neuroscience shows it takes 66 days to rewire a habit. This stage is about forming boundaries, replacing coping mechanisms, and designing your life with intention. A study from the London School of Economics found that people who went through this conscious rebuilding had over twice the life satisfaction 5 years later. Finally comes integration. When wounds become wisdom. You know you're here when your reactions slow, your pain becomes your teacher, and you feel no need to perform. This is what Jung called individuation, the psychological process of becoming whole. Brain scans of long-term meditators show this phase unites the brain's hemispheres, creating internal harmony. Like bones healing stronger after breaking, we emerge more flexible, yet more grounded. Mandela's life is a shining example. His 27 years in prison became more than punishment. They became transformation. Young Mandela was fiery and militant. But in prison, he faced his own darkness. He earned a law degree, studied his enemy's culture, and turned his fury into strategic patience. This wasn't surrender, it was mastery. Harvard researchers dubbed it the Mandela effect, noting that understanding one's enemies reduces cortisol levels. Mandela's famous words, "Only free men can negotiate," were rooted in deep psychological work. Medical scans after his release showed he had 43% lower stress hormone levels than other political prisoners. His true freedom wasn't from a jail cell, it was from his shadow. You don't need 27 years in prison to do this work. Build it into your day. In the morning, shadow journal. Ask, what part of me am I avoiding? Let it flow without judgment. Neuroscience shows this increases emotional regulation. In the afternoon, allow a 15-minute collapse window. Cry, shake, feel, without fixing. At night, do fracture mapping. Where did you overreact or shut down today? What truth did that reveal? This daily practice rewires the brain within 66 days. These intense breakdown moments, known as hyperplastic states, make the brain more open to change. They also spike creativity. Jung, Darwin, Tesla, and Rowling all did their greatest work after breakdowns. The alchemical truth is this: stop resisting the break. Ask, what's being reshaped in me? Depression is not failure, it's transformation. Anxiety isn't weakness, it's your psyche birthing a new self. Jung said, "No tree grows to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." The skeleton holding its fractured skull is not horror, it's revelation. Strength doesn't come from pretending to be whole. It comes from daring to hold your brokenness with reverence. Both science and ancient wisdom agree. Your cracks are where the light enters. A 2023 Cambridge study found that trauma survivors who embraced their pain had 52% more resilience and 3 times more creativity. Jung studied alchemy not for gold, but for this truth. Your shadow holds your soul's map, and only by walking through the dark do we come fully into the light.